Thank you, Kristen, and thank you everyone who came out today to help us celebrate and say thank you to Drew for everything he's done for Trinity Athletics. Drew, this is a little different than what we normally do, but welcome to your first Conversations in the Coop as a guest.
Yes, we've done 100 of these now.
I've done 85.
Right, the last episode we recorded, that I think will post last week. Coming up this was our 100th, and
I made a big deal about that, not knowing it was going to be his last one hosting. Made a real big deal about it.
But I've always sat, Brenna's right, I've always sat on the left, or our left, your right, so. It'll take some getting used to.
You have some time. So we did finally get you in the guest chair, so we're going to just dive right into it. So first of all, what are just a few of your favorite memories from your last 7 years at Trinity?
It's easy to go to the winning moments and the times where our team's had success, where someone's holding a trophy in the end, but ultimately the snapshots that are maybe most memorable for me are the times when a student just finally has that success, it clicks for them. And it happens in different places. For some people, it's coming off a practice field one day and you're catching them in that moment of energy when the light has gone on for them, whether the light's gone on for them as an athlete or as a student or just on campus, but they are really grasping what it means to be a Trinity student, to be a Trinity student athlete. And there's so many of those moments that I've experienced with students or experienced with coaches who see it in one of their own students or members of their team. It's easy to think about the experiences that we've created. I know a lot of people thought I was crazy when we started bidding to host NCAA championships, probably back in 2018 or so. And admittedly, I think the president left, so I can say it now, that subversively I was hoping, and Dan, it's true, I was hoping that if we get these championships, then there's no way that the board and the CFO's office can say no to us doing some of the upgrades, right? We have to upgrade the facilities in order to host these championships, but to host the field hockey Final Four and set an attendance record for that, and to have our own team play in it, to host a women's basketball semifinals here and sell it out and have an unbelievable atmosphere, host a lot of our students here. We're at the Hockey Frozen Four last year across the street at the Capel Center. Like those are just amazing moments. And then the other championship hosting opportunities we've had in so many sports, in women's soccer, in basketball, in women's lacrosse, baseball, where we just had amazing moments. And those are things that are just kind of snapshots of what I hope is a great experience for our students, for our alumni, and for everybody associated with Trinity.
Awesome. So in any role, you learn a lot from when you enter the role to when you move on from it. So what has this position taught you about yourself?
Yeah, I love reading about leadership. I love reading about management. I love learning how other people think through these problems. No one tells you when you're coming into a leadership role kind of how lonely it is. If you're a head coach, you have at least one probably full-time assistant. You might have more than one full-time assistant who are basically there to affirm things that you're thinking, right, head coaches? So you have someone who is kind of patting you on the back at all times saying, hey, let's go, and maybe they get confident enough to give you some, real critical feedback. When you're the athletic director, it's a little bit lonely, and so you have to kind of figure that out. And I was speaking to Kristen earlier today, and we were talking about how one of the unique things about Trinity is that we are located in an urban setting. There's so many benefits of that, but for our staff, most people live in different directions. And so with where we are in today's day and age, we all kind of go our separate ways at the end of the day because we literally live in different directions. We're kind of like spokes in a bike wheel going away from campus. So building that connectivity was a priority for me. For me, the biggest thing I was reminded of early on was just to show up and do the work. No one's going to demand when you get in for the students. It's more for the students than the adults. I hope none of the adults need this message, but no one's going to kind of call you when you're 35 or 40 and remind you to get up and go to work that day. You've just got to get up and do it on your own. So the act of showing up in a disciplined way every day, to show up, do the work, be the best you can be, is important, and sometimes we all need a reminder of that. So that was one of the first things I learned. It's like, I am really good at that. And so even when there's mud, and I used to joke with President Berger Sweeney, when there would be a challenging situation, the only way through it is forward. If you stop, it gets over top of you. So I don't know if I learned it here, but I definitely got a lot better. Just keep crawling through the mud. Eventually you'll get to the other side, or it'll dry up, or it'll just go away. So just keep going forward, and I know that's an expansion on showing up and doing the work, but if you do that and treat people the way that you want to be treated, and don't look down on people unless you're pulling them up, then things will work out okay for you. You don't always know exactly what the path has in front of you, but if you just operate on your principles and kind of choose to do the right thing, things will work out.
What would you say has changed the most about Trinity and about this community during your time here?
Seismic change, right? So 2020, the head coaches will laugh at this. I stood in front of the head coaches multiple times in February and March of 2020. I actually think it wasn't even until March. I remember Kristen and I went to a NESCAC meeting the first week of March in 2020, and other schools were talking about not going on spring break because of COVID. We obviously knew COVID was a thing, but I specifically remember coming back to our coaches like a day later and saying, other schools might not even go on their spring breaks. Well, that won't happen, but let's at least be safe. And then how quickly things escalated over the coming days. Maybe biggest regret, I know biggest regret's later, but biggest regret was that we played a lacrosse game, a men's lacrosse game. Coach Tarnow will certainly remember, and the assistant coach. We played a lacrosse game Wednesday night. We knew we were basically stopping athletics after that day. We're like, sure, you can play this game. And that was the night that Rudy Gobert announced that he was COVID positive, and like literally the sports world shut down the next day. So for like 2 weeks after that, I was very concerned that I was going to be positive for COVID. I was like, we 100% had a super spreader event right here on our campus. So Joe, maybe it was guilt. That's why I was so into COVID after that. But COVID was a seismic shift. We were going through a lot of positive changes in our department, and now we're not going to play sports for a year. None of the adults in the room who work in athletics got into athletics to not play their sport for a year. So that was a huge adjustment for us, and I think we all learned a lot about ourselves, about each other through that process. And then since COVID ended, we've been in a period of seismic change in college athletics, mainly at the Division I level, but it all trickles down. So everything from NIL, transfer portal, and just the sea change that's taken place around student employment at the Division I level has an impact on who we recruit, who we're able to recruit, who our coaches ultimately bring to our campus. And so the thing that I've seen most in our students is that our students now show up today as much greater advocates for their experience, much greater advocates for what a great college athletic experience should be. And so that means that we as the coaches and administrators have to be far more attuned to what that means and better able to support their experience than we probably had to be for a first year student walking in 2018. Our students are completely dialed into the things around their health, the things around their mental well-being that make a great experience, and so that makes us be better professionals. And then probably the last thing is that everybody knows I like technology, I like new things and innovation, so I'm not one to stand here and kind of yell at social media ever, but our students definitely show up far more educated on the world around them than any of us did when we were going to college so many years ago. So I think that's something that continues to change, and my challenge to all the adults is find ways to stay relevant with where students are and meet them where they are, because we're not going back to the day and age where we could really do whatever we want in college because there were no cameras. You all can. That's a world we have to understand. It's a world that we have to be a part of as opposed to pretending like it doesn't exist.
Is it crazy to you mentioning the Rudy Gobert? That's like your territory now.
It's my territory now.
You know,
Yeah.
that would have been your problem. What are you most proud of your time here?
It'd be easy to say the championships, and I am so proud of that. I never looked up the line. I've been talking about this with a couple of people. That line from it's late in the office where Andy Bernard says, how come when you're in the good times nobody ever tells you you're in the good times? That's a terrible misrepresentation of it. But what we experienced last year with the level of success that our teams had truly was unprecedented. Literally, the men's basketball, men's hockey teams both going to the Final Four in the same year. It's happened 7 times in NCAA sports at any level. 7 times. Twice in Division III. So we are in a golden era for Trinity sports. And I'm super proud of that our competitive success is there. It means that the things that we're trying to do are working. We're getting the right students here. We are providing them with coaching that is exceptional and I would say unmatched at our level. We are providing them with a support mechanism that allows them to succeed. So I think probably more than anything, I'm proud of what the experience is today for a student and what our students are able to access to ultimately benefit over these 4 years. And there's any number of things that add to that, but it's really about a community that cares about our students and their well-being.
So we're going to look back a little bit further with this one. What advice would you give to your past self at the very beginning of your career?
It's probably a little bit of showing up and doing the work and not worrying about the noise. But I think it's continuing just to be open to what life throws at you, be open to the experience. We all get comfortable. We all at times dislike change, and to just be open to the possibility of what a new experience might provide. And institutions like ours, these are old institutions. We've been around for 200 years, right? So there's a lot built into the tradition of a place like Trinity. And a lot of that tradition should be celebrated. And we also have to be thinking about what the next 20 years, 50 years look like. And so I think to kind of always be open to the possibility of what walking through a new door might look like instead of trying to fix the old window.
So now look forward. After 30 years in college athletics, what excites you the most about this opportunity going to the NBA?
I have no idea what I'm doing on Monday morning at work. Like truly,
Nice.
It's exciting and interesting. It will be a significant shift to go from the bureaucracy of higher ed, which is completely appropriate for higher ed, but there's no illusion I'm going to work for a business, and so you make decisions that are based in what makes business sense. I'm really excited to kind of scratch things that have been itches for me around high performance in athletes, around sports science, around the intersection of health and law. And so for me, the opportunity to really dive deep after, particularly in this role and even in previous roles where you're kind of on triage mode almost every hour of every day. And so you never get to dive deep because you were just putting out fires left and right, or spinning plates or whatever analogy you want to use. So now to be able to really dive deep and quite frankly get a few nights and weekends back. I struggled with that early on. My wife's worked in the corporate world for a long time, and she said, that's what happens in the real world, not your world. In the real world, people actually get promoted and they have more people under them, so they actually get to work less. And it took like 5 times of her saying that to me before I realized, like, oh, there are actually people out there that do that. I don't know any of them, but it'll be fun to get to know them.
Unheard of concept. Yeah. So now we have a few rapid fire questions, all focused kind of in the Hartford, NESCAC, Trinity sort of realm. So first question, who is your favorite NESCAC team to beat? I know, it's all of them.
Right, all of them. Purple teams, right? And I know we've beaten some of the purple teams a lot lately, so maybe it's always fun to meet the purple teams. I was looking when Joe was speaking earlier. I was looking at the panel up there, the Tufts panel, and thinking, well, maybe somebody might think it's Tufts because we haven't fixed that dent. I will tell you the conversation. I don't know if maybe Tom Fusella remembers this conversation. Somebody asked us about that once, and they said, "Why would we spend some ungodly amount of money to fix that metal panel? Why would we spend money and take it away from our own teams to fix a panel of another school?" So,
That checks out.
but we'll go purple teams.
Then of all of the schools in conference, which is your least favorite in conference drive? I know there's some contenders here.
All right, so let's walk through them, right? Colby, longest, and you drive for 2 hours, coming back from Colby, and you're still like in Maine, and think, oh my God. Hamilton, kind of the same thing for some reason. It like snows in April, the last like 30 minutes into Clinton. Probably mid, because a couple times you come home from mid after a loss, and you got an hour right after you leave Middlebury where you got no cell service. That sucks.
Just you and your thoughts.
Just you and your thoughts, the worst. Colby, at least, like there's generally good cell service on 95, so when we're celebrating an SCAC title, driving home a couple of years ago, I remember calling Coach Greason on the bus because I had gone through everybody in my phone already who wanted to talk about the hockey game, so I just called him. And I was still in Maine, had not gotten past Kittery yet.
What is your favorite Hartford area restaurant that you're gonna miss?
Well, those of you who are long-timers around here remember when I first moved here, we lived over the mountain in Avon. I remember the first time it snowed, I'd been here a couple weeks, and I started in January, and it snowed, and one of the people in the office said, "Are you coming to work tomorrow?" And I looked at the forecast again, and they said like it was going to snow 2 inches. I said, "I think so. Like, is there something I'm missing?" She said, "You live over the mountain. You can't go over Avon Mountain if it like snows at all." But so there are some places over the mountain that are hidden gems. Table 570 in Simsbury, like amazing Asian fusion. We got a couple nods. Yeah, Coach Lewis. Yeah. So we'll go Simsbury, Table 570.
What's your favorite non-athletic spot on campus?
So outside the grand room of admissions, there's a patio, and in the corner of the patio, there's a fountain that during the summer is working, and there's a little. Am I correct? Is there like a little chicken on top of that? No. Yes. No.
Now there will be.
Oh, the chicken's down below, but there is a fountain up top. That.
It's a good idea.
You can actually look and see the athletic facilities from there. Certainly some of my ideas that I shared with the architects for the new building came from staring at that and looking at our brick walls, looking at the stairwell coming out of Ferris, and thinking, I think we could have a better looking front door. So,
Maybe.
maybe.
This one might involve a little bit of thinking. If all of our coaches and staff participated in some sort of Amazing Race style event, they're paired up, who would be the top 3 teams?
I do love reality shows that are competition, so Amazing Race, Survivor, all in. And there's some easy choices here. She said coaches and staff, Joe, sorry. Not eligible, didn't make the cut. So I'll go with, I think I've got like a sleeper pick to win, but I think we would pair up probably like Coach Mason and Coach McDermott would pair up. A lot of knowledge about the human body, how to prepare themselves. They've got some outdoor training in there as well, some endurance. So they'd be top 3 for sure. Kind of a sneaky one that I don't think a lot of people would think of, because on any of those ones like Amazing Race, you've got it's a partnership. So I'm going to go with Coach Melnitzky and Coach Akarulo. They effectively like live together 9 months of the year on the 3rd floor of Ferris. So they would know what to expect from each other, and they would grumble their whole way through it, but they would get it done. But I think ultimately you need athletic friends. So I think probably our most inseparable duo would be Katie Szymanski and Shannon Radigan. Would probably win because like ultimately they would just like find a way. So
I like it. Thank you. The last one. Are there any viral trends that you're upset that we didn't get to do? But be careful because I might try to find a way to do it in the next 48 hours before you leave.
I've joked, that's a good one. I've joked with some people about the latest one where like a teacher or a coach stands there with their back to a team and then the voices come. I can tell teams when they leave the locker room and they're either going to the weight room or they're going to boosting or they're going somewhere, because I can tell when they walk down the ramp by the hooting and hollering which group it is. So I'm pretty good at that. But I wish we'd done that one. I do regret we never got like a good like cheer or chant. I tried a couple times and was self-aware enough to like just let it sit when it didn't work. But yeah, I would have thought we could have gotten like a real good, just something. You know, I guess we kind of tried with roll bands a couple different ways. We tried with like spelling out bantams. Yeah, we never really got that. That's a wish. I wish we had.
Well, thank you for all of your answers, your rapid fires. Is there anything you'd like to conclude with?
Yeah, thank you, Britta. And thank you, Britta, for doing this. I appreciate this opportunity because it was I didn't want to just stand up here and tell people to, you know, go to bed early and stay, you know, and get your sleep and do things the right way. It's not who I am, and I didn't want to lecture anybody for any amount of time. I do want to say thank you, number one, to all of our coaches. What our head coaches and assistant coaches do for our students is it's long hours, it's thankless, it's you get into the career of athletics, and in your 20s, when all of your friends are making a lot more money than you, and having a lot more fun on the weekends, you're working like every night and weekend, you're going to far-flung places to recruit, you're working when everybody else is having fun, and by the way, you're not making much money to do it. So it's a real labor of love. So thank you to our coaches for everything they do. I want to thank, there are 23 coaches and staff who were here before I got here. So a special thank you to them that they helped me navigate this process. One person that I want to shout out, that I hope no one gets offended that I don't shout out everybody, but if Penny is still here, Penny Lawrence. There is no one in this department who works harder, longer hours, and in a thankless way than Penny, and she's amazing. And so Penny deserves all the credit for just being there for our students. And I know that for many, many alumni, she is like the one person they want to come back and see before they see their coach. Thank you to our students. What you do for Trinity is amazing, and just keep showing up. And I'll have a thing to say in a second. To our staff, it's even more thankless to be a coach because nobody pats you on the back if the basketball team wins or the field hockey team has a great game. So to our staff, thank you for everything you do. To all of our campus colleagues, thank you for being great colleagues. It takes a village to run a place like Trinity, and to do it in a way that is thoughtful and appropriate. And I'm just so appreciative that we have great colleagues who work with us to provide this experience. And I think to everyone, and this is maybe a little more towards the students, but I think to everyone, to really enjoy the journey that we're on. It's super fun, don't get me wrong. When we won the Final Four, or won the game to go to the Final Four last year in basketball, there's not a greater moment. There's not a greater moment when the hockey team wins a national semifinal on its home ice, or when women's soccer got to that first NCAA tournament. We won a game in penalty kicks on our own field. There's nothing better than that. But truly enjoy the journey, because we can't always control the results. There's someone, the ball doesn't bounce in, the puck bounces out, somebody stumbles in a race. We can't control the results. What we can do is control our willingness to participate in the process. And so becoming process oriented, really enjoying that journey, because for all the young people in the room, not once, when you're 40 years old, is someone going to say, hey, take 4 years, live with a bunch of people who are going to be your best friends. You have next to no responsibilities other than going to class and practicing your sport. Have a lot of fun on weekends, and you get to do this all in the microcosm of a sport where you're learning and growing. Like, this is the last chance in your life to do it. And I don't mean to sound that kind of a morbid, fatalistic way, but take advantage of every second of this because it is fleeting. It goes by quickly, as we'll see. So you've got to enjoy the journey of it and enjoy every second of what this is. And it's being there for your teammates, it's being there for your fellow athletes, it's supporting your fellow athletes, and just enjoying practice. Enjoy the last time that coach makes that crack that they always make that's, everybody knows is kind of a dad joke or whatever it is. Like, enjoy that. Because that's not the world you're going into, and so this is such a special time, and that's really where the magic of this happens. So I'm going to miss Trinity a lot. We're still living in West Hartford this spring, so we'll be around a lot still. So I hope y'all say hi to me still, and I look forward to just seeing what all of you accomplish going forward. Thank you so much.